Welcome into the Chiefs Report live here on YouTube. I am Harrison Graham. Hope everybody is having a great day. Good start to the week here on Monday. I hope the weekend was good. I had a good weekend. It was tough. It's always tough when your team loses in March Madness, but you know, it is what it is. Hope everybody out there is having a good time. Shout out your city. Let us know where you guys are watching from. We got producer Sam hanging out, so it's going to be a good day. Hey, listen, Seth Luttrell.
UNT legend, Oklahoma legend.
Yep.
Big move for the staff as an offensive analyst.
I actually do like it. For an analyst?
He'll play the Matt Wells role, but be actually better than Matt Wells is.
Was Wells on staff last year?
He used to be, yeah.
Oh, God. He's awful. Shout out your city. Let us know where you guys are watching from. Let's see. Frogs lost sad. I know. St. Louis from Guillermo. We got Mista watching from San Antonio. We got Bert in Park, California. Mike is in Springfield, Illinois. We got Dale Webb Jr. in Hagerstown, Maryland. Nick is in Rockwell City, Iowa. Des Moines is where Joe's watching. Dennis is in Lee's Summit. We got Jeff in Des Moines as well. We got Demonic in Omaha. I was in Cologne, but for a magic show. Okay. Denver, Colorado. We got K Fields in Tyler, Texas, the home of Patrick Mahomes, near there at least. Actually, I think it is Tyler. I think it is right in Tyler. We got Catfish in KC, Missouri. So is Steven. Tony in Dallas. We got Casey Callie in Bay Point, California. Paul in Kansas. Down in California is where Desmond's watching. So appreciate you guys tuning in wherever you guys are watching from. I appreciate the support. All right, pick a wide receiver. Who do you want the Chiefs to go out and get? Type DH for DeAndre Hopkins. You would have to trade for him. Or type OBJ for signing Odell Beckham Jr. This is the live poll as well. And I'm not surprised it's favoring DeAndre Hopkins. I am a bit surprised that it's 86% to 14%. That's quite the gap there. So I'm curious to see what the people are saying. Christopher says Hopkins. Tony does as well. Corey, Demonic, Kobe, Paul, Dale Webb wants OBJ. KC Callie wants OBJ as well. Mike Wilson wants DeAndre Hopkins. So does Sheldon. Two Sheldons. We have a Sheldon and a Sheldon Walker. Steven says Hopkins, no debate. Carolina says Hopkins. Rashad says Hopkins. I would prefer Hopkins. I think he's more of a sure thing, but you know, if OBJ ends up coming in at a reasonable price tag, you don't have to trade a pick for him. So certainly something to consider. Roberto says D-Hop as well.
That's one thing I was going to ask, Harrison, is how big of a factor is the money for you? And maybe it's different obviously for the Chiefs than other teams, just financially speaking, but just in terms of pure fit as well, it feels like DeAndre Hopkins at this point would almost command more targets and more of a focus, whereas I feel like maybe OBJ you could fit into the offense a little bit more seamlessly.
Yeah, I think both would be good fits on the field. It's just Hopkins' cap hit is going to be higher, even if you extend him, and you're having to trade a pick there. Now, I think there's more of a certainty there. I think he's the better player at this point, but like, what if OBJ ends up, like, you could get him for $8 million? Like, that's pretty enticing to not have to give up a single pick. So it'll be interesting. It will be very, very interesting. What's your favorite signing, guys? Favorite signing so far, external signing. These are the four that have taken place. Jawaan Taylor, type JT. If it's Charles Omenihu, type CO. Drue Tranquill, type DT. Or if it's Mike Edwards, type ME, as in me. Favorite signing. What's y'all's favorite signing? Christopher Huff says Taylor. Tranquill from Jeff Don. That might be the best value signing.
I was going to ask, which one's your favorite, Harrison?
I think the Taylor one will have the biggest impact either way. It's either going to be really good and this whole line will be even better than it's been, or if it doesn't work out, him moving to left tackle, that'll be a bad thing. I think Tranquill's the best value. He's a starting caliber linebacker, and they got him for 1 year up to $5 million. K Field says Charles Omenihu. So does Tony Fuentes and Rick. Sheldon Walker says Omenihu. Nick Gann says Jawaan Taylor. So does Rashad. Freddie says Tranquill. Tony says Omenihu. So a bit split here. PK says Drue Tranquill as well. Jawaan Taylor and Drue Tranquill from Young Craze. So Yeah, I think those are the two I would choose between. I like the Omenihu deal, though. I think Edwards is a good signing as well. I think he's a great third safety option, which you needed that when you lost Juan Thornhill, because Brandin Cooks will likely plug in as another starter next to Justin Reed, and now you get Edwards in that secondary as well. Will the Chiefs go back-to-back? Are they going to win Super Bowl 58? Type Y for yes, type in for no. What do you guys think? Certainly some new faces going to be in the fold. Will the Chiefs win Super Bowl 58? BWL says yes. So does Tony, PK Camo, Martin, Roberto. You know it, baby, from Christopher Huff. Corey says yes. Del Monte says no. All positive signings. BLW says, or BWL says yes. Rashad says yes. Jeremiah and Caden say yes. Roberto says hi from Costa Rica. What's up, Roberto? KC Harold says yes. Sheldon, Jeff, Flip, Daniel, all saying yes. Freddie says time to create a dynasty. Yeah, you win this one. That's 3 out of 5. I would say that's dynastic. You could win this one. So we'll see. They're going to be the hunted team. Young Craze makes a good point. As long as Mahomes is our quarterback, it's always a possibility to win it big. There's no doubt. As long as 15 is in the fold, you're going to have a chance to compete for championships. All right, the first day of spring is mañana. What is your favorite season? Summer, spring, fall, winter. Fall is football season, so that's always fun.
Well, that was going to be my answer, is that the correct answer is football season.
Yeah.
The actual seasons of the calendar, those don't really matter. It's football season, there's baseball season, there's there's Olympic season, we'll call it, in the summer. Yeah. Or soccer season, if you want to look at it
I'll simplify it even more. There's football season, then everything else.
Yeah, and football season is the correct answer.
Yeah, exactly. Jeremiah says fall. Christopher says spring by far. Wow. Dale Webb says football season. Paul says fall. So does Steven. Fall and winter from Greg. Rich King says winter. Winter's a good answer, too, because that's when the Chiefs are playing deep in the playoffs. So that is an acceptable answer. Martin says football season. Tony says winter. Young Craze says football season, baby. Caleb says baseball season. Royals fan, Caleb? We'll see. A lot of Royals fans on the channel. Ryan with the super chat. What's up, Ryan? He says, who should we pick in round 1 and 2 of the draft? It's a good question. If they don't add a receiver, I think going to receiver could make sense. They need probably another pass rusher as well, maybe a right tackle, with Jawaan Taylor going to be the left tackle. And Lucas Niang, I think, is someone that could start, but they'll probably want competition there. So I think those are a couple of spots they could go.
I was just going to say shout out to Ryan. This is going to be the very first question on our mailbag later on in today's show. So anyone else that super chats from here on out, you'll get at the top of the line. But Ryan's going to be the very first question on that video.
Yeah, if you super chat, you can get on our mailbag. Also, #Chiefs. So load the questions up, and we will get to as many as we can. All right, are you ready for the live show to start? We got to get to 75 likes for it to get going. Otherwise, we're not going to break down the latest Chiefs news and rumors. We're not going to take all of your questions. Got to get to 75 likes, and 69 is on the way to 75. So we got to get there as well. Tony's liked the video. You can let me know once you've liked it, and I will give you guys a shout-out. 38 likes. We're halfway there. We're halfway there. Oh, living on a prayer. Take my hand. Someone has an OU question. If Anton Harrison falls to 31, I'd like that pick. Well, the Chiefs have a history with OU offensive linemen.
That's kind of their thing.
Creed Humphrey. I know Orlando Brown's gone now, but he had 2 solid years here. So 62 likes. Shout out to Freddie, Dale,
I see
Tony,
69
Paul.
on my screen.
Nice.
It's very nice.
We're almost at 75. Braden, Caleb, Dennis, KC Harold, Corey Payne, Sheldon Walker, Paul Amos. Shout out to everyone who's liked the video. We're at 72. 72 likes. Need 3 more. Let's get to 75. And there it is. Appreciate you guys. Like the video if you haven't already. Here's what's coming up live here on the Chiefs Report, the latest Chiefs news and rumors. Will the Chiefs make a move for a wide receiver? We will discuss that. Live Q&A, like we mentioned, #Chiefs or Super Chat if you want to jump the line. Super Chat to get your questions on the show first, and then we're going to hand out some grades. Chiefs free agency grades from week 1 of NFL free agency. The few moves the Chiefs have made so far. Guys have left as well. We'll break all that down. So busy show coming up on today's Chiefs Report. Welcome into the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham. Appreciate everybody for tuning in here on today's show. We got some news and rumors topics to catch you guys up on, so let's go ahead and dive on in here. How about signing Ezekiel Elliott in NFL free agency? Zeke was, of course, cut by the Dallas Cowboys last week, and look, while he's certainly lost, I would say, at least a step, the burst is not really there anymore. He's still great in 2 areas: short yardage, 3rd and 1 or 2, and in blitz pickup. He's an excellent pass blocker, still arguably the best in the league. He's one of the greatest blocking running backs of all time. When you need someone to pick up a blitz out of the backfield, there's no one you want more than Ezekiel Elliott. So let's kind of talk about this a little bit. You obviously look at some of his recent years. The production's dipped, right? The yards per carry has dipped. He kind of had a slight uptick in 21 from 2020. So you're thinking, okay, he's not elite anymore, but maybe he's, a clear RB1. But this past year, under 4 yards a carry. Again, 12 touchdowns. He can find the end zone still in the right offense, but it's clear that he isn't what he once was. Now, does that mean he doesn't deserve to be on a team? Does that mean that Ezekiel Elliott can't contribute on a contending team? No, I don't think that's what that means. I just think he's a rotation back at this point with a specific role, which is short yardage and some third down snaps where he can pick up blitzes on clear passing opportunities. Now, you look at this depth chart right now, it's Isaiah Pacheco. He's your clear RB1 moving forward, in my opinion. Jerick McKinnon's a free agent, but I still think bringing him back makes a lot of sense. If you remember last year, he didn't sign until almost training camp, or maybe even during training camp, so don't necessarily panic there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire's under contract. We'll talk about him a little bit later on. We'll see if he's a part of this team. I do want to mention, too, Ronald Jones actually is visiting with the Dallas Cowboys. So, and let's be honest, I don't think the Chiefs and Jones are going to reunite here. He was not happy in Kansas City, wanted a bigger role. So, don't think that's going to happen. I will say this about Zeke: you could help keep Pacheco's work usage down. Like I said, Zeke could, give you 8 to 10 carries a game, some short yardage, stuff like that, coming on some obvious passing downs to pick up some blitzes, and still has decent enough hands. He's not going to be a weapon as a pass catcher necessarily, but as a dump down guy who can, have surefire hands more often than not, he still catches the football pretty well. So, look, Zeke at one point was the best back in football. I don't think he's close to that. I think he's a top 30-ish back in this league, top 40, which means he should be on a team. I think here he'd be a number 2. And even if you signed him, I would still re-sign McKinnon, because then you kind of have this heavy rotation of Pacheco, who's kind of your 3-down back if you want him to be. Zeke, who can give you short yardage and blitz pickup. McKinnon can do some blitz pickup, but then he's also your guy who can make plays out of the backfield. So I'm open to Ezekiel Elliott. It would have to be cheap. Now, if I had to pick him or McKinnon, I would pick McKinnon for this team. But it doesn't necessarily have to be an either-or situation. What do you guys think? Would you sign Ezekiel Elliott in NFL free agency? Type S for sign or P for pass. Reply to the pinned comment. This will be the pinned comment on today's show. S for sign, P for pass. Would you sign Ezekiel Elliott? Let's talk about the wide receiver position now, going from running back to receiver. Will the Chiefs sign OBJ or trade for DeAndre Hopkins? A lot of buzz that suggests the Chiefs are interested in both and would like to pull the trigger on one of these moves. With Brandin Cooks going to Dallas especially, I think, too. Kansas City could be down to these 2 guys in terms of the veteran wide receiver market. Not a lot of names out there at this point in time. Jerry Jeudy's on the block, but Denver's not trading him within the division, so not even going to mention him here. We'll start with OBJ, obviously, as Odell Beckham Jr. We've talked about it quite a bit here on the Chiefs Report, dating back to the regular season last year. Very talented player. We know that. But what we also know is he has 2 ACL tears in the last 3 years. He has not had a 1,000-yard season since 2019. When we last saw him play, he looked good, but he didn't necessarily look like a number one. So it's going to come down to money when it comes down to Odell Beckham Jr., which is why I think there is reason enough for hesitation. More thoughts on that here in just a second. But first, I do want to shout out our sponsor today, and that is Athletic Greens. Appreciate Athletic Greens for sponsoring today's show, and I appreciate their product AG1 for keeping my energy level up, especially toward the end of the NFL season and on into free agency. It was a busy week last week. A lot of content we're pushing out, and AG1 helped me out. I recently started taking AG1 a couple of months ago, like I said, and I've never felt more energetic than I have these past couple of months. Football season was long. It was tiring, but AG1 gave me that boost I needed to finish strong, and now I feel back to myself and back fully in my routine. Not only is AG1 getting me into some good habits, I'm seeing better digestion as well. That's really important as I've needed to improve my gut health for a long time now, and AG1 is going to help me do that as it already has. Covering my nutritional basis for the day literally could not be easier, which is why I personally trust Athletic Greens. I just mix 1 small scoop of AG1 with water, drink it first thing in the morning. Boom, it's done. Very easy. I also like that it costs less than $3 per day. Very cost effective. It's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality sourced ingredients. A true win-win. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is here to give you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your purchase when you use our link below, athleticgreens.com/jacksports. So check the comments, check the description, get going with AG1. It also tastes really good as well. I was really picky when I was younger, so 5 years ago even, I saw this green powder in this green drink. I'd be like, no way. I love it. athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Check the comments, check the description. OBJ tweeted this out this morning because there was a report last week that he wanted $15 to $20 million, and he said, I'm just so confused where the quote is from that said, I want 20. All I'm saying is that 4 ain't enough. So he's suggesting that he's been offered $4 million in free agency, but he's also saying, hey, that report of where I want $20 million, I'm sure he would like to have $20 million. Who wouldn't? But he's saying he's not requesting that. That is not true. So you kind of look somewhere in the middle. 10 mil for OBJ? Is that something he would take? I mean, hell, JuJu ended up signing for 3 for $25 with incentives up to 33. So at most, he's going to get 11 per year. And he's a safer commodity than OBJ at this point. So I think Beckham's got to realize, like, you know, even if he wants more than 4, like, you're not getting 17, man. I don't think. I mean, I think $10 million a year is more than fair. Maybe incentives up to 15, kind of like the Michael Thomas deal. So something to keep an eye on when it comes to this. I think when you debate OBJ and Hopkins, you got to factor in salary, because with Hopkins, you're going to have to trade a pick and take on a pretty significant cap number. Would you give Odell Beckham Jr. $10 million? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. I think I'd probably go up to 10. That's about as high as I would go, I think. But curious what you guys think down in the comments below. $10 million for OBJ, Y for yes, and for no. So let's go from OBJ to Nuke here, DeAndre Hopkins, who we've also talked about a lot over the past few months. And I still think he can be a number 1 receiver. I'm not confident in that in OBJ. I think OBJ is a number 1 receiver talent, but it's been so long since we've seen it. Last year, Hopkins was a number 1. He just missed 8 games, and 6 of those were due to suspension. Had he played 15-plus games, I mean, he's well eclipsing 1,000 yards. I mean, he had over 709 games played, and in one of those, he left the game with an injury. So he was averaging, 80, 85 yards a game when he was out there. And by the way, Kyler Murray missed some of those games with the torn ACL. So he's still very, very good. Now, you look at this Brandin Cooks trade, which I referenced earlier. Dallas only gave up a 5th this year and a 6th-round pick next year for Brandin Cooks. And the Texans ate some of that salary as well. And you're thinking, okay, yeah, DeAndre Hopkins is better than Brandin Cooks. But is he so much better that the Cardinals are going to get what they want in a trade, which reportedly has been a 2nd-round pick? I don't think so. I mean, if I'm Brett Veach, I'm like, hey, we'll give you a 3rd. That's it. Like, that's what we're doing. So, I would probably rather give Arizona a 3rd and bring on Hopkins than sign OBJ, because I think there's less known with OBJ. I think Hopkins is more of a sure thing if you get him. But so that trade for Brandin Cooks, I think, made Hopkins value go down a bit because that's just not a lot to give up, guys. I know Hopkins is the better player, but he's also 31. So I think that could be good news for Kansas City. You look at the wide receiver depth chart, whether it's OBJ, whether it's DeAndre Hopkins, while there's some good players here, adding a player of that ilk to this group and taking some pressure off Kadarius Toney, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Sky Moore. I think that would be a good thing. I think it would help Patrick Mahomes. It certainly helps replace JuJu Smith-Schuster. So something to monitor here because these are kind of the two big names available outside of Jerry Jeudy on the wide receiver market. And again, KC's not getting Jeudy because they're not going to trade him within the division. All right, pick a wide receiver. Who would you rather have? Type DH for DeAndre Hopkins, OBJ for Odell Beckham Jr. Obviously, you would have to trade for Hopkins, so can't factor that in here. DH for Hop or OBJ for Odell Beckham. If you want nonstop Chiefs news, rumors, and more content all year long, subscribe to the channel. It's 100% free. We don't charge you a dime. We bring you videos every day. Turn on your notifications so you never miss a video, so you never miss when we go live. You will get notified on your phone, so be sure to do that. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. Subscribe, hit that noti bell, and select all. That way you never miss a Chiefs report. All right, one more rumor here. Could the Chiefs trade Clyde Edwards-Helaire? We talked about this a little while ago, and it's been linked in another article here today. Bleacher Report listed him as a player that must be traded at this point in the offseason. Maurice Mouton wrote about CEH and a few other NFL players, and he said, quote, because of a sluggish running back market, Kansas City shouldn't expect much in return for Edwards-Helaire, maybe a late-round pick. The Seattle Seahawks should push to acquire Edwards-Helaire to replace Rashad Penny, who signed with the Eagles in free agency. So Mouton here is saying, hey, maybe Seattle's a team that would punch. I would trade CEH for anything. Conditional pick, a pack of Pro V1 golf balls, I'm in. Like, if you could trade CEH, just clearing the money is worth it in itself because at best he's your RB2, but really he's probably your RB3 if you re-sign Jarrett McKinnick or hell, go sign Ezekiel Elliott. I like CEH. I hope it works out for him. He's had a lot of injuries. I don't think everything has been super fair for him since entering the NFL, but the production's gone down. Pacheco showed more as a rookie than Edwards-Helaire ever has. You save over $2 million if you trade Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I just think it makes sense if any team is willing to offer a pick of any kind that you take this deal if you're Brett Veach. And look, Edwards-Helaire probably needs a fresh start. That's just reality. It hasn't worked out for whatever reason. He hasn't been able to stay healthy for whatever reason. So, again, if you can get something for him, I think you take it if you're Kansas City. Now, what is going to be CEH's 2023 team? If you think he's still a Chief, type KC. If you think he'll be elsewhere, type E for elsewhere. I think he'll be gone. He could get cut as well. But let me know what you guys are thinking. KC for the Chiefs or E for elsewhere. Be sure to follow me on social media on Twitter, at HGramNFL on Twitter. I'm also at HGramNFL on Instagram. If you have any Chiefs questions, let me know over there. I still have a lot of DMs to catch up on. I get that. So I'm going to get after that. It was a busy free agency period. At HGramNFL. We'll get caught up very, very soon. All right, give me some shout-outs here. Let me take a sip of water. Tony thinks he'll be a Chief still. Chief City says elsewhere, so does Sammy. Sheldon Walker, Dale Webb, Jeffrey, they're all saying elsewhere, so is Tim Bowen. Catfish, Steven, Caden, Brother Rick, KC Harold, Stephen B, all saying elsewhere. Caden says elsewhere. Chief City says elsewhere. Kobe says elsewhere. Kate Chappell says, what's up, Harrison? What did I miss? Well, we just went through Chiefs news and rumors, but we'll publish that as a video later, so you can go check it out then, or you can rewind the show here on live if you want to do that as well. All right, let's get to a mailbag here. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat to get your questions answered live on the show. Hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat. We will answer as many of your questions as we possibly can, and we will make it happen here. And let me make sure this isn't anything important. It is not. If you Super Chat, you can skip the line. I know we got Ryan's Super Chat to lead things off, so if anyone wants to join Ryan at the top of the list, feel free to donate. All your donations help grow the show, grow the channel, help us grow at Chat Sports. So hashtag Chiefs or Super Chat, and we will answer some questions. You're watching the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham, and it is mailbag time here on the channel. If you got a question, drop a hashtag Chiefs or a super chat, and we will answer as many of your questions as we can. From Ryan, who should we pick in round 1 and 2 in the NFL draft? I think round 1 options, if you're going specifically by need, and obviously teams don't do that, they draft best player available in combination with need more often than not. Now, the Chiefs can be more picky because they don't have as many needs, but I think some potential positions. Wide receiver. If you don't get DeAndre Hopkins or Brandin Cooks, or Cooks went to Dallas, DeAndre Hopkins or OBJ, that makes a lot of sense. Edge rusher. I know you've signed Charles Omenihu, but you lost Frank Clark. You could certainly get another pass rusher there. This draft is pretty good with pass rushers. Beyond that, right tackle, I'm comfortable with Lucas Niang, but if this team wants to draft an Anton Harrison or someone like that to give him competition, Jalen Duncan, I wouldn't be opposed. So those are a few positions I would target. Ollie Olich, what's the trade value for Chris Jones, and why is no extension done at this point? Greetings from Germany. Greetings to Ollie. Appreciate you tuning in from Germany. I would say a reason a deal isn't done is just because you don't have to rush these things. He's got a full year left on his contract. I think you would get, I don't know if you'd get 2 firsts for Jones. You'd for sure get 1 plus more. I mean, he is arguably the best interior pass rusher in the NFL at this point. I think he might be more valuable than Aaron Donald because he's younger. Plus, Donald could retire at any point. So I think you'd get a lot for him. That being said, I think letting Frank Clark go is a clear sign that you want to keep Chris Jones for the foreseeable future. So I think an extension it could be in the works, and I think there's a good chance it happens before training camp. Nick Wubker, should the Chiefs trade up in the first round for a receiver? It's tricky to gauge where these receivers might go. Exactly. I think it's a feeling out process for Brett Veach. It's possible that the first 10 picks come and go and not a receiver's been taken. So if that's the case, you're feeling good if you're Brett Veach. It buys you time. 11 to 31 is a lot closer than 1 to 31, right? So I think Veach will kind of monitor things the first 10 to 15 picks, see how many, if any, receivers go. And if none go, he can probably be patient and wait till 31. But if a couple start to go in the teens and he really likes one of these guys, then he may have to move up and go get them. Ricky Tide Roller, should the Chiefs trade Willie Gay Jr. after signing Drue Tranquill? Roll Tide, I used to have a pal named Ricky that loved Alabama. Haven't seen him in a while. Yeah, hopefully he's doing well. I hope he's watching. It's interesting. We talked about this on the show over the last week, Thursday, Friday, the day the Tranquill signing came down, and I think it was Friday. And he played Will linebacker a lot for the Chargers last year, which is what Willie Gay plays mostly here because Nick Bolton's the middle. So are they going to play Tranquill at Sam? Is Gay potentially on the trade block? I don't know what's going to happen here. I would like to keep all 3 with Bolton because I think that could be nasty, but there's only so many snaps that go around. I find that fascinating. Definitely something to watch. What should Kansas City do with Willie Gay? Type T for trade or K for keep? I think they should keep him. I like the way he plays and the way he fits on this defense, but maybe you feel differently. T for trade or K for keep. Next up is Layla Joe. Is it possible to sign OBJ and D-Hop and have them on the same team? And if so, would you? Well, Des Bryant says they should go get both. I don't think getting both makes a ton of sense because, if you trade for D-Hop, if you're Odell Beckham, you're saying, I'm going somewhere else. They got a lot of receivers. They chose Hopkins. I'm going a different route. And vice versa. If you sign OBJ, I don't think Hopkins is, really wanting to get traded to the Chiefs at that point. So, look, I mean, if they're both cheap, if OBJ is super cheap, it could happen. I just don't think the Chiefs would go that route. Braden Perez, is OBJ worth the deal JuJu got? I think 3 years, 25 in terms of average annual value, $8-9 million a year. I think he's worth that, but is he worth it over 3 years? I don't know. I wouldn't give OBJ more than a 2-year deal with his injury history, so it's kind of a tough one to say. I would lean no, but $8 million a year is also not a ton. So even if it didn't work out, I don't think it would completely bury you financially or with cap hits for the future. Excuse me. Stephen Beal. The new safety from Tampa was a nice pickup. Yeah, I like the Mike Edwards addition. good third safety. He didn't have the best year of his career last year, but he makes plays on the football. And I think for a third safety, you're okay if you get a guy that gambles a bit back there. So, yeah, we know Spags likes to use 3 safety lineups quite a bit, and I think he'll have an opportunity to see some playing time this year. Subscribe to the channel and join our weekly mailbags here on the Chiefs Report. We go live on Mondays at 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 Central Time, so subscribe and join us. We will continue to keep you guys informed. Kate Chappell, do you think the Broncos are a legit threat to us with Sean Payton? Producer Sam says yes. I got to see it to believe it. I'll be honest, I don't love the rest of the coaching staff he put together, but Sean Payton deserves a lot of credit. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's a top 10 coach in this league, maybe top 5. So really it comes down to Russell Wilson. If Russ ain't the guy, they're handicapped for a couple years at quarterback. So that's what it will come down to. If Russ can get back to peak Russ, then, yeah, I think they could be a factor. But if he plays closer to what he did last year, then I'm really not concerned. Tony Fuentes, I would like OBJ in Kansas City, but I don't see it. We'll see. I mean, with the Cowboys trading for Brandin Cooks, that probably takes them out of the running, according to reports. Now, maybe that changes. Maybe he's willing to sign there for cheaper. But, yeah, I mean, look, there's going to be multiple teams interested. So probability would say he would sign elsewhere more likely than the Chiefs. But I think the Chiefs are in the mix. I think there's mutual interest. Could come down to a contract. Keidron Smith, do you trade Clyde Edwards-Helaire and a first-round pick and some 7ths to go up to 20 to pick Seattle? So 31 Edwards-Helaire and 7ths. Well, the 7ths are virtually – there's a trade value chart for draft picks. 7th-round picks are worth like 0 points. So I'll just pull it up real quick. The trade value chart, NFL draft – give me a second here, guys. Trade value chart. Let me just compare the 20th and the 31st pick. So the 20th pick, and this is not a perfect system, 850 points, right? It's on a point system. The Chiefs at 31, that's 600 points. So how do you find the other 250 points? Well, if it's just a draft pick, that's about a early mid third round pick. So if you're moving up to 20, you may have to trade 63, the last pick of the second round, because that's about the range. So you may have to trade your second. Now, maybe you get like a 5th back as well. And maybe if you're throwing in CH, maybe it's your 3rd in CH. But I don't think CH is worth that much, guys. I really don't. So you're not quite there, Keidron, but 31 CEH and a 3rd and a 4th, maybe that's the ballpark. Brett Veach has 12 picks to work with. So, you could throw one of those comp picks that they got as well. Laura Ortiz with the super chat. Appreciate that. Quick mock draft. Not today, but I will be doing a post-free agency Chiefs mock draft, so be on the lookout for that. Draft content will definitely increase here on the Chiefs Report, so definitely be sure to subscribe and be on the lookout for that. What was that, Sam? Okay, ideal pick at 31. Quentin Johnston if he falls there. Joe Fazio, what is your opinion about drafting Deuce Vaughn? What round will we have to draft him? Day 3. I mean, he's the shortest player at the history of the NFL Combine. That's going to back teams off. But he's a talented player. He's great in space. He catches the ball well. He plays fearlessly. I think he can be a return specialist in the NFL. Didn't do a ton of that in college, but I think that was because Kansas State was limiting his exposure because he got so many touches on offense. 5th round, I'd take him in the 5th. I think that could be a proper range for him. Speaking of the NFL draft, how many members of Chiefs Kingdom follow the draft? If you do, prove it. Go subscribe to our draft channel, youtube.com/chatNFL. We're putting out mock draft coverage over there. We had a bunch of NFL Combine interviews uploaded to that channel if you want to go back and listen to those. Mel Kiper, Todd McShay mock drafts. We're going to do some team-specific draft coverage. Probably going to see some Chiefs draft videos from time to time over there. So if you're interested in the draft, we'll have some good draft coverage over there, youtube.com/chatNFL. Tom Downey leading that coverage, but you guys will see me from time to time as well. Chase Haddock, what other trade could the Chiefs do besides trading for DeAndre Hopkins? I mean, if they wanted to trade for like a dynamic pass rusher, like a Danielle Hunter type, that could be something that I'd be interested in. I'd have to think more. I would have said Brandin Cooks, but he went to Dallas. So, someone like that. Is there an offensive tackle they could trade for to play right tackle, or play left tackle and have Jawaan Taylor play right tackle? Possibly. So those are a couple of positions to monitor. Agent Naha, what is the possibility of bringing back Justin Houston, and how effective would he be? I don't know how possible it is. I'd like to see it happen, though. He's been productive since he's left the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs kind of thought he was semi-washed when they cut him, or that he'd definitely be on the decline, which in extent he has been, but he's still a really good pass rush. He had 9.5 sacks last year. So, yeah, bring him in here, get 6 to 8 sacks out of him. Let's go. I think he can definitely be your Carlos Dunlap of this year, maybe even be a little bit better. From Moishe Feldman, is Jarrett McKinnon coming back? I hope so. I still think he will. Remember last year, he was in no rush to sign. He didn't sign until training camp or right before, and obviously he had a great year, right? So I would like to see McKinnon back in the fold. I think the Chiefs will hang on to Clyde Edwards-Helaire at least until they bring in McKinnon or another running back, just for insurance. But obviously Pacheco's RB1, and I think McKinnon's an ideal RB2 right now. Christopher Huff with the $10 super chat. If you super chat, you can skip the line. Would you look for a kicker in the draft? So Harrison Butker had a bit of a funky year. Had one of the worst years, if not the worst year of his career. He was pretty good in the playoffs, but then he missed that kick in the Super Bowl that could have been costly. Did make the game winner, even though it was a chip shot. I think Butker will be the guy next year, and I would not draft one, but bring in a UDFA just to, make Butker sweat a bit. I'm not opposed to that. Make him, for sure earn the job in 2023. Will the Chiefs win Super Bowl 58 just like Harrison Butker helped them win Super Bowl 57? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Are the Chiefs going back to back? Give your thoughts in the comments. Got time for a few more. Another super chat from Kobe. Shout out Kobe. Can the Chiefs trade Marquez Valdes-Scantling or someone like that for D-Hop? In theory, if the Cardinals want to get a receiver back, Valdes-Scantling and a fourth for D-Hop, I'd probably do that, because then you would go D-Hop is your 1, Tony is your 2, Sky Moore is your 3. Re-sign Justin Watson as a depth guy, then take someone in the middle rounds. Those are your 5 receivers? Yeah, I'm in. Arrowhead news and rumors. Trade for Nick Bosa. Man, he would be unreal here next to Chris Jones. He would just cost so much, guys. You're going to have to pay a first, if not 2, and pay him $28, $30 million per year. I don't think it's in the Chiefs' budget, to be honest. Young Craze, what if we switch to a 3-4 defense and that's why we signed Tranquill? I don't think it's happening. Spags is the DC. They're not changing that. They switched from a 3-4 to a 4-3 with Spags. Doesn't mean they can't run some 4 linebacker sets from time to time, but maybe more than anything, it just means that they're going to run more 3 linebacker sets and less nickel next year. Maybe that could be in the works. Dale Webb Jr., how many more years does Travis Kelce have left? I think he could play another 5 years. Now, how many years does he have at a high level, best tight end in the league level? 2 to 3. He's going to be 34 next year. This past year, he was unbelievable. Now, I will say his production dipped a bit in the second half of the season. And I will say one thing the Chiefs did do is sub him out a little bit more, give him slightly less snaps, because I think they do want to extend his career. I would say 2 to 3 elite years left, and then 2 to 3 more good years, and then, probably retires at 38, something like that. He is still very dynamic. Tony Fuentes, will you go live during the draft? I would like to. We're going to try and make that happen. I think that could be in the works when they pick at 31, so be on the lookout. But, yeah, we'll see. The draft is unpredictable. If they trade the pick, that could throw a wrench into things. So stay tuned is what I would say. Casey Cali Chief with the super chat. You get the final word. What is your thought on Kansas City not picking up a receiver in free agency, but instead go with the Ross guy to see what you have? Justin Ross or John Ross, they have both. I just think Justin Ross to me is kind of like icing on the cake. If you get something out of him, great. But I don't think you enter the offseason with him as your number 4 receiver. That's just not a good way to operate with his neck issues. He couldn't even play as a rookie. It's, I think they're intrigued by him, but I don't think anyone in that organization is operating as if Justin Ross is a for sure thing, because that would be a bit reckless. All right, name a random Chiefs player. Is Eagles live in there? What's going on? Was he singing Cry Eagles Cry? Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, I think it was. I don't blame him. It's a good song, Cry Eagles Cry.
You guys know Cry Eagles. They're still crying about the James Bradberry hold, even though he literally admitted it.
Imagine if they found a way to just keep complaining about it after he signed somewhere else. It's a good thing he re-signed so they actually have a little bit of a base to go off of.
How epic would it have been if the Chiefs needed a corner and signed him? That would have been all time.
That's such a... I don't even know if mentally you can get over that if you're James Bradberry. Does that just ruin your entire psyche going into it, knowing that you gave this team a Super Bowl and then you join them?
I think the Eagles would have to cancel their franchise.
Yeah, I think mentally for sure they wouldn't be able to get over it. We'll see now. But.
Exactly. Let's get some shout-outs here. Tony says Matt Castle. Christopher says Brady Quinn. That's a really good one. I totally forgot Brady Quinn was here. Derek Thomas, he's not random. Elvis Gerbach, yeah. Jamal Charles, not random, but a good name drop. Ricky Stanzi, great name drop. Christian Okoye is a good one. Joe Montana. Brody Croyle, great one. Do you and RGR have beef? Not that I'm aware of. I think they do a good job. I've actually never talked to RG, the guy over there. So if he has beef with me, I've never heard anything. Have you seen something, Carlos? Let me know. I'd love to squash any beef he may have. I've never talked to him before. Darwin Thompson, great one. Tony Gonzalez, he's not random, but good name drop. Jeremy Macklin's pretty good. Dexter McCluster's a good one. Random player, Barry Ward, that's a good one. D Ford, we don't say his name here. He cost Mahomes a third Super Bowl in the last 4 years, so we don't do that. We don't do that. Neil Smith, Lynn Dawson, some good one. Darrelle Revis.
James Winchester.
Yes. He's the most random current. Well, who would be the most random current Chief? Is it John Ross? Who signed to a futures deal?
Is it Justin?
The most random this past year, Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, people forgot.
I forgot he was we saw him at the Super Bowl. I was like, holy
did.
shit, I forgot you're on the damn practice squad.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Wow. That's good stuff. We'll hit the super chat, and then we'll get to our final segment here. Shout out Kobe again. Appreciate it. Is OBJ really over D-Hop considering his injuries and how unreliable he is? Wouldn't D-Hop, even at his higher price, be a better Yeah, I would rather do D-Hop. If I didn't make that clear, I would rather get D-Hop here. It's going to cost you more, but I think it's more of a sure thing. And look, if you get DeAndre Hopkins, outside of Tyreek Hill, he is by far the best receiver Patrick Mahomes has played with. Not even close. Like, Juju's a nice player. It's not even close. Like, OBJ right now, you could argue, is similar tier as Juju because he just hadn't played. I mean, he's been hurt. So, yeah, I would much rather go D-Hop. I think that can make this offense so fun. So, we'll see how it goes. I think the Chiefs will have interest in both and potentially get one of them. So, we'll have to wait and see. All right, let's get to our next segment here as we continue here on the Chiefs Report. Coming up on the Chiefs Report, we are going to take a look at some free agency grades so far. We're just into week 2 of NFL free agency, so kind of want to recap what happened in the first week for the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll hand out letter grades for the 5 players the Chiefs have signed, and then we'll also talk about the outgoing players. We'll actually do that first here, kind of get that out of the way. You look at some of the Chiefs' losses, and yeah, they've lost a good few players, right? I mean, Orlando Brown to the Bengals. You bring in Jawaan Taylor, which we'll talk about. That's an interesting kind of in one ear, out the other type of situation. JuJu Smith-Schuster to the Patriots. We've talked about that. I would have considered paying that contract, but Brett Veach opted not to. Andrew Wylie, I thought he might get a nice little contract. He did. Good for him. He goes and follows Eric Bieniemy to Washington. Juan Thornhill to Cleveland. He's been trying to recruit McCole Hardman as well, who is still expected to sign elsewhere in free agency. Kalen Saunders goes to the New Orleans Saints. That's a guy I would have liked to bring back. I was a little puzzled by the Michael Burton one because we know the Chiefs want a fullback, so keep an eye on that. They should be in the market for a fullback. Frank Clark was released. He hasn't signed anywhere yet, but it would take his market just plummeting and bringing him back for dirt cheap for him to return. I think he will sign elsewhere. So 7 notable players at this point. Likely a few more with McCole Hardman and potentially a few others, Derek Nottie maybe. So, yeah, the Chiefs have certainly lost some guys. Now, what's been your favorite Chiefs signing so far? We are going to break down the 5 Chiefs signings up to this point in free agency. So curious where you guys land on this one. What has been your favorite Chiefs signing up to this point in time? This will be the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get hit with the YouTube ad break, just drop a name. Favorite Chiefs signing so far. All right, let's hand out some grades here. We'll start with Jawaan Taylor. I obviously referenced him when with Orlando Brown leaving. C+, and there's a lot of reasons for that. C+ isn't bad. It's above average, but a little concerning potentially because, for one, they gave him a massive contract. I mean, they made him the 4th highest paid tackle in the NFL, and he's a good player, but he still has flaws, right? I mean, you look at his PFF grades last year. His overall grade was under 60. Now, I think it's a bit skewed because the Chiefs clearly brought him in here because they felt like he was a better pass protector than Orlando Brown, which he did grade better than Brown as a pass protector. Run blocking wasn't graded highly. Hopefully he can improve there. He's graded higher earlier in his career, so hopefully it was just a down season in that regard. Gave up 5 sacks. Orlando Brown gave up 4, so pretty similar. Penalties 7. I think Brown had 6 or 7, so that was pretty even. But let's be honest, Brett Veach is taking a bit of a risk here. Letting Orlando Brown walk and signing Jawaan Taylor to play left tackle when he hasn't done it in the NFL is not a sure thing. But I think we do have to say this. Brett Veach deserves the benefit of the doubt. He deserves us to trust him. I sat up here about this time last year and said, I am shocked that he's trading Tyreek Hill and I wouldn't have done it, and I didn't like the move. And look, there will be moves in the future I won't like. But what I will always say moving forward, until proven otherwise, Brett Veach deserves the benefit of the doubt because he has made the correct move much more often than not. So clearly they see something in Jawaan Taylor. He's a younger player, someone that can grow in this offense. So until proven otherwise, I'm going to be optimistic. But my personal grade, it's an overpay. There's uncertainty going from one tackle to another. He's never played left tackle. C+, there's some benefit of the doubt weighing into that grade. But on paper, I don't love it, if I'm being completely honest. Now, who do you guys think is the better offensive tackle? You could argue Orlando Brown's more talented, and maybe for this scheme, Jawaan Taylor fits better, which is why the Chiefs did it. Type JT for Jawaan Taylor, OB for Orlando Brown. Let me know in the comment section below who you guys think the better offensive tackle is. Next up is Charles Omenihu, the edge rusher. I'm going to give this one a B grade. I like this move. B is really good, well above average. It's not elite. Those are the 8 categories, but this is a really good move. You needed players on your defensive line after moving on from Frank Clark. Omenihu is a young, ascending player, and I think something that carries weight here for me is, one, you didn't completely break the bank. Maybe it's a slight overpay, but that's the nature of free agency. But 2, Charles Omenihu played with some damn good players in San Francisco, learning from guys like Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, and now he's in line for a bigger role in Kansas City, and I think he's ready for it. Coming off the best year of his career, 4.5 sacks is a bit low, but 16 QB hits, that's a sign that he was disruptive, just didn't always end up being the person who finished the play, had a forced fumble. I think his role will only increase. I've got him penciled in as a starter right now, opposite of George Karlaftis. You've got Chris Jones. I still think bringing in a nose tackle next to Jones is going to make sense. Maybe Derek Nottie returns, but I like Omenihu. He's on the rise. I think he's going to be a solid player. Nick Allegretti, I'm going to go A- here, not because he's been the best player so far. In fact, he's been the worst. But the value is just terrific. Contract details aren't out, which tell me it's going to be a one-year vet minimum. He's a backup. But these are the type of moves you have to make to have a well-rounded roster. I told you guys when they re-signed Allegretti. This type of move is what makes a good team great. You find a depth center guard hybrid in the 7th round of the NFL draft back in 2019, and now you're going to have him for a 5th season. 7th round picks don't make the roster a lot of the time. And not only has he made this team every year, he started 12 games in his career, most of those, if not all, in 2020, the year the offensive line fell apart, and he actually played pretty well left guard. He could play guard. He could play center. So now you're getting a 5th year out of a 7th-round pick and a guy that can plug in and play at multiple spots if needed and hold his own. That's valuable. It's not going to cost much. A-. I like bringing back Nick Allegretti. I thought he might be gone, to be honest. Subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss out on any of our Chiefs content here on YouTube. Trying to bring you guys the best coverage possible. So hit that sub button. News, rumors, updates. We cover you guys on all of it here on the channel. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. Don't miss any of it here on the Chiefs Report. Next up is Drue Tranquill, the linebacker. Staying in the division, coming over from the Chargers, A freaking plus. I think this is such a good value signing. It's 1 year, I think $3 million base, up to $5 million in total money. And he graded out so well last year, especially in coverage, but he can also blitz. He had 5 sacks last year for the Chargers, 146 tackles. He knows the division. He's good in coverage, like I mentioned. He does a little bit of everything, and on paper, he's your third linebacker, which I find very interesting. You look at this depth chart because Nick Bolton's the middle. Willie Gay's been the will backer. Drue Tranquill played a lot of will for the Chargers, which really fascinates me about this move because I'm wondering, okay, is Tranquill going to play Sam and they're going to run a lot of 3 linebacker sets? Could Willie Gay be on the move? Are they going to substitute more often and on third downs take Nick Bolton out on key passing downs, go with Gay and Tranquill? I don't know. He also wore the green dot for the Chargers defense last year, which means he was the quarterback of their defense. That's who the coordinator, Brandon Staley, was talking to and feeding the plays to. So this is a guy who turned down offers from 5 other teams, according to reports. He wanted to come here. He wanted to win. I love this signing. I think the value is fantastic. I also like the signing of Mike Edwards coming over from Tampa Bay. B+ here. Figures to play that third safety role. Edwards coming over from Tampa Bay, I think on the same deal, 1 year up to $5 million, $3 million in base. So pretty much the same contract Tranquill got, according to reports. And he's a good third safety. Now, his grades from PFF would say that he had a down year, and I would agree with that. He definitely got beaten coverage a decent amount. But he can start. He can come off the bench. He can rotate in. He's a special teams guy. 80-plus tackles last year, 3 breakups, 2 picks. If my third safety is getting me multiple turnovers, that's really good value. He will be the third safety for this team unless Brandin Cooks just isn't ready for another bigger role, and that's another reason why I like it. If Brandin Cooks, who was a rookie last year and served as the third safety and played quite a bit, isn't ready for an increased role, well, Mike Edwards has done it. He can plug in and play if needed next to Justin Reed. Obviously, I think this team will miss Juan Thornhill a bit, but I think Edwards is a nice recovery here for cheaper to be your third safety. Cook, they feel like, is ready for a bigger role, so I like it. He's got versatility. He can start. He can come off the bench. I'm a big fan of the move. So grade the Chiefs free agency moves so far. Certainly a move or two still to come potentially, but let me know how you guys feel. A, B, C, D, or F. Go ahead and drop a grade down in the comments. I settled on a B-. You could say a B. I like the moves. I don't love them all. You know, there's some reservations for me with the Jawaan Taylor deal. But again, I'm going to give Veach the benefit of the doubt. I think it's a good move. Obviously, you've lost some pieces. On paper, when you trade for Orlando Brown and you thought you'd lose him after 2 years, you'd say no way, but that has happened. So B-, it's good. It's not incredible, but remember, this is a team that's got to make tough decisions. They just do. You know, you've got big contracts on the books. So B- for me. I like the move so far. I don't love them, but let me know what you guys think. All right, hit that subscribe button here on the Chiefs Report. We will continue to give you honest and entertaining analysis, news, rumors, everything else. So subscribe and turn on your notifications. That way you never miss anything surrounding the Kansas City Chiefs here on the Chiefs Report. All right, grade the move so far. A, B, C, D, or F. Yeah, we'll sign off. A, B, C, D, or F. Grade the Chiefs free agency moves so far. Get some shout-outs here, then we're going to sign off here shortly. Freddie Martinez said B+. Roberto says B. Chief City says B. Bailey, Paul, Casey Harold saying B. A- from Jerome. Tony says B. M. Xavier, I'll answer this real quick. Will the Chiefs trade down with the Bears to get a wide receiver? So go from 31 to 9? I don't think you have to go that far. I think somewhere in the teens if they're in love with somebody, but I don't think you got to go top 10. Arrowhead says B. Logan says C. B- from Athan. Nathan. All right, guys. Agent Nate, or Naha, I should say. Appreciate the support. I'm Harrison Graham. Again, hit that sub button. We go live every single Monday, 4 Eastern, 3 Central Time. So don't miss out on that. Turn on your notifications. You can find me on social media at HGrahamNFL. We appreciate producer Sam for hanging out with us as usual. Any parting words, Sammy?
Let's go win another Super Bowl.
Hey, back to back. You heard it from the man. I'm signing off. Peace.